The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day to those who celebrate. Welcome into the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. Shout out to the coffee club. I have great news for you. It's game day, and it's not an 8 p.m. tip. Things you love to see. It's about time. Arkansas is on the road to Tuscaloosa to face Alabama tonight. Tip-off set for 6 p.m. on ESPN, and we will be out at Goat Lab Red over in Oak Plaza on North Garland in Fayetteville for the Pod at the Palace pregame show at 5 p.m., taking you up to the tip. So make sure you either come out and join us or tap into the stream, get your questions in. We usually have a lot of fun with those. How we feeling about this one, folks? We locked in, nervous, optimistic, pessimistic. I know some things have changed. We'll talk about it here, but big game, right? Great opportunity for that signature road win that Arkansas is lacking on the resume. It's about the only thing that they're lacking. Probably about as well as an Arkansas team has been playing, I feel like, headed into a matchup with Alabama in years. And even though they're playing well themselves right now, this is about as vulnerable as Alabama has been at home in quite some time. A couple of high-octane offenses going at it. Two polarizing coaches for very different reasons in John Calipari and Nate Oats. You got two of the SEC Player of the Year frontrunners in the respective backcourts. I mean, this really does have all the makings of an awesome game. And I hope that it plays out that way. A close series historically between the two teams. Arkansas has a 36-34 all-time advantage. Just 8-23, though, in Tuscaloosa. The last win there was Eric Musselman's first year in 2019-2020. I feel like I say that sentence a lot on this show, even though that particular team lost a lot of games in its own right. They were a heck of a lot of fun to watch, but is it just me? I feel like I say that nearly every game when we're doing this historical stuff. But, man, they hadn't won at Mississippi State in over a decade. It's been a while for LSU. We got to go deep back into the Musselman years for some of this, but I do remember that specific game, though, vividly. That was a Mason Jones 30-piece. Mid-range Jimmy Witt had 26 in that game. It was when Isaiah Joe was out with that injury, and Arkansas went in there and got him. That was an Alabama team that had Jaden Shackelford, who was really good. The year after, that was the year that Muss had just his massive crash out on the team. Remember, they got blown out at LSU, and then he freaked out. They flew back home, and then he made them practice with the weighted vests and the bricks and all that. They had 0 legs, and they got smoked at Alabama, and then they basically didn't lose again the rest of the season. The next trip down there was probably the worst loss of the Eric Musselman era, if you ask Eric Musselman, because Arkansas had just won that home game over Auburn when they were ranked number 1, had the court storming, Debo teabagged the kid. Muss's shirt was off with the sling. Like, it was crazy. And then they went down to Bama for an early it was an 11 a.m. Saturday tip-off, and they lost by 1 point down there. That game stuck with Muss for the rest of the season. Like, we were legitimately, I'm not making this up. We were at the NCAA tournament in Buffalo. We went with the team to Niagara Falls, and we were just walking along the path there, and Muss was talking to me and Scotty Bordelon about how pissed he was about that game. Still stuck with him. And I'm like, my brother, you're getting ready to play to go to a Sweet 16. Man, he didn't like that. Lost by 3 the Brandon Miller year. Crazy game. Got 24 from Nick Smith Jr. Devo had 21. Ricky Council had 20. They still got beat. Actually held Alabama to 3 of 22 from 3 and lost. Muss's last year, Arkansas was terrible. That was not a good Arkansas team, but they took that game into overtime when they were there. So most of these games have been very, very close, but they just never seem to be able to get over the hump against Nate Oats. And it's frustrating. 5 straight losses for Arkansas in the series. They obviously beat Arkansas in Fayetteville last year in a game that I feel like nobody remembers. Does anybody have a big recollection of that game? It's kind of crazy. Arkansas was down by like 20, and they stormed back. It was too little, too late. I think they wound up losing by 4. That was the Big Z game where he was in his bag, man. He was hitting the step-back threes and everything else, and we were like, good God, this guy's going to be a first-round pick, until he wasn't. But it was a wild game. So, well, I hope Arkansas can get over the hump. There was exactly zero love lost between Muss and Nate Oats. Like those two dudes just did not like each other at all. Make no mistake about it. I don't think it's as heated of a rivalry, but I'm not sure that Nate Oats and John Calipari are the best of friends either. Maybe there's a common denominator in these conversations, but I remember when Nate Oats was still at Buffalo. It's where he was coaching before he came to Bama. And out of nowhere in the NCAA tournament that one year, it was 2018, I'm pretty sure, he took a shot at Cal. Anybody remember that? Because it was a pretty big story when it happened. They had just beaten Arizona. Buffalo did. Oats had a good team. That's how he got the job. Mid-major coaches go, do a Cinderella thing, and then they get a bigger job. And they had just beaten Arizona. They were getting ready to play Kentucky, and he was in his press conference interview, whatever, and he called Cal a whiner. He was like, he's always whining about his teams being young. We don't have that problem. We have vets around here. And it was just a really weird thing for him to say. And yeah, I remember Cal kind of took the high road. He was like, it's not whining, it's telling the truth. Like we're one of the youngest teams in the country. That's how we do this around here. And then Cal proceeded to blow Oats out and send them packing for March Madness. They beat him 20. I think Oats apologized for that later on. And, he's been really complimentary at times for about Cal and about Arkansas since, but not the best way to start a relationship, kind of a weird deal. But I've got John Calipari at 5-4 against Nate Oats all time. Maybe they played before that at some point. If they did, I missed it. But at least counting that NCAA tournament game on, I've got Cal at 5-4. Some interesting stuff, like Arkansas, for what it's worth, they're undefeated in midweek games this season. That's what this is. They're 5-0. And aside from that, though, with the Cal and Oats stuff, like these two couldn't represent more opposite ends of the spectrum on essentially everything. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, like coaching philosophy, for example, Oats, he's got the more modernized, analytically driven threes and layups only, we'll throw you off the team if you shoot a mid-range type of offense. Cal's is more traditional, right? Dribble drive, floppy, not as heavily reliant on the three, encourages the midi if you got it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I mean, they go about things vastly different, but these are still two of the top 5 most efficient offenses in the country. So both methods are clearly working, and they both have really good players. That helps. And then there's roster building, right? Obviously, like that's kind of the hot button thing this year. And in fairness, neither one of these guys are as extreme as their comments or, what gets clipped from what they say or the hot takes kind of make it sound. Like Nate Oats recruits plenty of freshmen. In fact, he's going to start as many freshmen as Arkansas will tonight. And Cal brings in transfers. It's just, it's not where he prioritizes his recruitment. He supplements with the portal. He doesn't build with the portal. So, but with things going off the rails this year and with lines getting blurred and loopholes and all this craziness, you got Nate Oats bringing back Charles Bediako from the G League as like a 2-week mercenary before it gets shut down. And then you have Cal very openly kind of drawing his line in the sand that this kind of thing is getting ridiculous and just stressing the importance of restoring a little bit of order in the game. So 2 good coaches, 2 good programs, having a lot of success. They go about it in very, very different ways. But at any rate, a big game though. A lot going on here besides the 2 coaches. They're 2 fascinating guys. Are they the most polarizing figures in the SEC? They might be. But these are also 2 of the best teams in the SEC. So let's go ahead and dive in to our preview. Before we do, a shout out to our partners for today's show, OZK Insurance. And we know this is an independent agency that is, they're beefing it up, right? This full service mobile app, very cool, very sleek. I've downloaded it onto my phone. It's user-friendly. It's awesome. With the OZK Insurance app, you can see all your policies under one roof. Anything that you have, auto insurance, home insurance, whatever, you can pay your bills from it. If you broken down on the side of the road, you need roadside assistance, you can get that from the app, file claims, get new quotes, whatever, right there from the convenience of your phone. And with OZK, you get the best part of an independent agency. So it's, choice, flexibility, dealing with real people. And now you've got the convenience of modern technology. So the best of both worlds. If you're tired of being stuck with one carrier or chasing down paperwork, go to ozkinsurance.com or search OZK Insurance in the App Store or Google Play. It's a local agency with national level options. One powerful app. It's OZK Insurance. I think what I want to do here, trying to think of the best way to set the table. I think I want to start with some sound from Nate Oats' press conference. He had about a 3-minute opening about Arkansas, and he kind of ran through the matchup, the roster quite a bit, and he was highly complimentary. I thought it was some pretty good stuff here. I know some of you don't like listening to that man speak. Fair, I get it, but this is a good table setter, I think, for the rest of the discussion here today. And I always like to hear what opposing coaches have to say about the Razorbacks before and after they play.
2/3 of the way through conference with 6 games left, and maybe the toughest one out of the 6 remaining. I mean, there's some tough teams, but Arkansas is definitely right up there. They're a game ahead of us in conference. They're playing really well. They've got some really talented players, as they always, as any Calipari coach teams do. Acuff's. Shoot, if you're looking at SEC games only, I guess he's on pace to be the first player since they started tracking all the stats to lead the league in scoring and assists in SEC games only. So that would be quite a feat considering all the NBA players that come out of the SEC. So he's obviously talented. We're going to have to do a great job on him. He's been able to get going here. He makes tough shots. He passes the ball well. He guards pretty well too. So, I think Cal's done a really good job getting him playing at a really high level. And we got to make sure we're, locked into him. But it's not just him. They've got Malik Thomas has been playing well. If Wagner's back, I mean, he's NBA talent, particularly on the defensive end. Billy Richmond's an unbelievable athlete, defender. They've got interior play. They've got athletes. Brazil's looking like, way back after his freshman, sophomore year when they're projecting him to be an NBA player, he's kind of back playing what everybody thought he was going to look like, and he looks healthy, making shots, making plays at the rim. Pringle's one of the best shot blockers in the country. We had him here with us. He's active. He's tough. He can rebound, block shots. He's a lob target. So you kind of go through their personnel. It's good, and we're hoping we're getting healthier. Taylor, it's kind of day to day. He didn't practice yesterday at all. Today we had a real light practice that he went through parts of it, and we'll see how he's feeling tomorrow. It'd be great to get him though, because we need some length and athleticism in this game. So, we'd be great if we get him back and London play well, and our front court's able to have a little bit more length. But this team's good. I mean, they don't turn the ball over much. They lead the league in assist turnover ratio. They're second in the SEC in fast break points. They're third in the country in fast break points, and most of it comes off them creating turnovers or their block shots. So our offense is going to be tied to our defense in this game as much as any game since the Florida one. I mean, you go back to the Florida game, we had all those live ball turnovers that they scored off of, and didn't really give ourselves a chance at all. We can't do the same thing. We got to take care of the ball. We got to keep them out of transition. And then, we're going to have to rebound the ball as well.
Well, there you have it. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. I feel like most of the times, as Razorback fans, you hear from Nate Oats. You see a clip that's been aggregated on Twitter or whatever, and it's usually him in a precarious situation, a lot of times caused by his own doing, that he's speaking to. The Brandon Miller thing or the Bediako thing or whatever. I know it's hard not to be rubbed the wrong way by that, but now that you listen to him for 3 minutes talk about your team, do you feel any differently? Probably not much, but I will say it's pretty good stuff there. Some coaches, it's very dry, it's whatever, but man, highly complimentary on the Razorbacks there. I kind of like it. So let's move on. We'll get into the tell of the tape here, and it feels like this is probably one of the closer comparisons that we've had when you look at it. I mean, these are two really good teams. Make no mistake about it. This is what two really good NCAA tournament resumes look like right here in front of you on the screen. This is what you see from two teams who are bona fide contenders in a league like the SEC. Make no mistake, the stakes are high in this game. It's a big quad one opportunity for both teams. This is definitely a seed line game. Mentioned it yesterday, but if you go look at the bracket matrix, the average of all the bracketology projections out there, Alabama and Arkansas are neck and neck. And that makes sense. If you're looking at this graphic right now, why wouldn't they be? It's very close. I see a lot of 4-seed projections for Alabama, some 5s mixed in there. Arkansas seems to be pretty much exclusively on that 5-seed line right now. That changes definitively with the win in Tuscaloosa. There's no doubt about it. As far as the SEC race is concerned, I mean, a win for the Razorbacks cements them as a legitimate threat to Florida in the league title race. Think about some of the things that have happened here. You have the tiebreaker over Tennessee, who's a game behind you that you already beat. You have the tiebreaker over Vanderbilt, who's a game behind you that you already beat. They play each other twice, so that puts you in an advantage. Alabama, who's a game behind you right now, well, if you beat them, make it 2. And Kentucky, who is the other 8-4 team, lost at home at Rupp Arena to Georgia Tuesday night. The hell are they doing? So a win here in Arkansas is really, really in a great spot. Like, they're getting dangerously close to being able to secure a top 4 seed and getting that double bye at the conference tournament, and obviously staying very much alive for the league title. So a huge spot here for the Razorbacks. Now, for Alabama, a win evens them up with Arkansas. It gives them the head-to-head tiebreaker, and it pushes them into a tie for second place. And then suddenly they are trending towards that double bye. And it was something that Nate Oats talked about a little bit later in his press conference. I didn't clip the whole thing out of there, but was very much open about it. He was kind of doing the math too, saying, yeah, man, like if we don't win this game here, we're going to have a really hard time being off until Friday when we go down to Nashville. And 90% of the teams who win the SEC tournament have gotten one of those top 4 seeds and not had to play until Friday. So it is a big deal, man. It's a big deal. But yeah, both teams ranked in the top 25, 3-spot difference in net, Arkansas with the advantage, 1-spot difference in KenPom, Arkansas with the advantage, Alabama 1 spot higher in Torvik, 4 spots higher in BPI, strength of record separated by 1, wins above bubble separated by 2. I mean, goodness gracious. This is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. Both teams, I mean, if Alabama wants to take the night off or whatever, that's fine. Arkansas better show up and play in this one because you got a really cool opportunity to just have an awesome game. Should be an awesome college basketball game. Okay, let's get into our side-by-side comparison here and talk about offense versus defense and vice versa there for both teams. For Arkansas on offense, here's my thing. And you can look at the numbers, right there in front of you, courtesy of KenPom. These are conference-only statistics and rankings, but we know how good this team is on offense, right? I mean, are you guys believers? You don't make it to late February with a top 5 offensive efficiency in the country without being the real deal. Arkansas is. Best offense we've had here in a long, long time, maybe ever. That's not a stretch to say. On the flip side, though, if we're being fair, if we're really being honest, as much as we talk about, the way the Razorbacks defend, and they ranked double-digit spots higher than Alabama coming into this game on the season. The Tide are outside the top 50 in defensive efficiency. They're 6th in SEC play. You would think, man, Arkansas should be able to go in there and score it. And that's been part of the problem when it comes to beating Alabama because we know how potent they are with the ball in their hands. But if we're really being honest with ourselves, which is the point I was trying to get to before I got sidetracked there, the Razorbacks, look, they have won 3 straight SEC road games, and they've won 3 straight here overall. They look good doing it. But I would classify it as fair to be at least skeptical going into this matchup on the road because the offense has actually no-showed in the 2 big SEC road games this year, at Auburn and at Georgia. And neither of those teams have a great defense either. So like yesterday when we talked about a validation opportunity, showing that you've grown up, that you're not just the pretty good pigs anymore, going out there and putting your offense that you've had all year on display in a game like this is just something I would love to see. 73 points at Auburn, 76 points at Georgia. Arkansas averaging roughly 90 on the year, so they were just way down. Turnover issues in those games. Nate Oats said it himself. Arkansas doesn't turn it over. Assist numbers down. It's the best assist to turnover ratio in the conference. Poor shooting and shot selection. We all watched. They look like they weren't ready to play. We can't see that in this game, and I don't think we will. I do think that they are past that point. Do you? I mean, like, is Arkansas done with the funny business? Because if not, they could get run out of Coleman because Alabama's going to hit some shots. The pace is going to be frantic. And if the Hogs get too rushed or they're trying to match 3-pointers, they get sped up and out of sorts, it can get away from them just like those other games did. But if they show up locked in and ready to roll like they have their last several outings here, there is no reason whatsoever why they can't light this Alabama team up. And, yeah, again, that is part of the equation. Sometimes the best way to beat Nate Oats is to beat him in his own game. A great example would be Cal's last Kentucky team that everybody likes to compare these Hogs to, who walked in there and dropped 117 points on the Tide and beat them. I would say Alabama's been fairly solid on defense in recent games. Their problem is that they're just not disruptive at all. You can see from the stats there, they're dead last in turnover percentage, 14th in steal percentage, 10th in block percentage. In conference games, like they're obviously very quick. They're athletic. They've got some good length, and particularly on the wing. But they also tend to be undisciplined and foul happy out there. And Arkansas on the flip side has been great in the ball security department. You cannot let that slip against the team that doesn't get any steals. Oats said, and you guys heard him, that Alabama's offense was going to be predicated by its defense in this game more than any other. Like they were going to be linked together so much since maybe that Florida game for them. I think that could be something that's true or similar for Arkansas as well. A lot of times when you're on the road playing against a team like Alabama that's as up-tempo as they are, you try to slow the game down, slow the momentum, make it a sleepy gym. I would actually encourage Arkansas to do the opposite. I say lean into the pace. Don't be afraid to run. You're actually better than they are in the open floor. Arkansas is still third in the country in fast break points. They're shooting a bunch of threes, long rebound, outlet, off and running, baby, to the races with numbers. Give up a contested three. It's going to happen. That's fine. Get it out of the net, inbound it, get it up the floor immediately, apply rim pressure. That's the kind of stuff that Alabama does. They give up a three, then they fly up the floor, and they got you scrambling in transition. They get a foul. They're right to the line. It settles everything down. So you talk about beating them at their own game. I don't mean they shoot 43s, you shoot 43s, but I'm talking about from a pace standpoint. This is something that Arkansas should be able to thrive in and can take advantage of Alabama on the opposite end. I'm anxious to see what that looks like for them. There's also something to be said for just taking the fight to a team like the Tide, because I think so many teams try to, adjust to Alabama, and we gotta try to take something away or whatever. We're kind of changing who we are to be able to defend them or slow them down. But just go right at them. Take it to them. Arkansas is the best in the conference at scoring in the paint, 60.2% inside the arc there, which is really, really good. So I'm not saying get out of attack mode when it comes to getting downhill. You need to. But I'm also not saying that you have to match Alabama shot for shot. I just think more volume from three is an important part of the equation here for Arkansas tonight. At a minimum, I think Arkansas is going to need to hit their average of 8 to 10 threes in this game. You have to get there. This cannot be one of those games where you're 3 for 15 and it doesn't make any damn sense, or 6 for 17 or whatever. Now you got to get them up there a little bit. Because if you mix that in with the healthy diet of inside the arc efficiency and getting the right people to the free throw line, that gives you a recipe for success. Arkansas is much better equipped with firepower to be able to score with Alabama than they have been the last 3 or 4 years. They need to show that in this game tonight. Flipping things around, Alabama's as potent as they've ever been on offense. They are. Although, if you look at it, Arkansas has been better in SEC play. Alabama ranks 4th Arkansas ranks second. Interestingly enough. Number 1 in the country in 3-point rate, Alabama. We know how they play. Say it all the time. They live or die by the 3. It's more nuanced than that, what they do. But there's some, they certainly live by it, don't they? Number 1 in the country, man, in 3-point rate. 54.2% of their total shots are threes. That is absurd. 54.9% in SEC play. Arkansas is 31.6% of their shots are threes. So completely different philosophies. Now, that doesn't mean that they just run down and jack them. They make 13 per game, by the way. The last team that Arkansas faced that was doing that was Louisville, and the Razorbacks did a really good job defending them. What did Louisville go, 8 for 28 or something? I mean, if Arkansas could hold Alabama to that, that's you're walking out there with a dub. But it's not like Alabama just runs down the floor and jacks them. I mean, they have a couple guys who will do that from time to time, but they really do their work in transition. They get you in scramble mode. They move the ball well, and then, driving kicks. They look to get downhill on you and collapse the defense and kick it out. Really good at it. They're excellent at getting opposing defenses in scramble mode and making the extra pass to get clean looks. They share it really well. I think for Arkansas, this game more than any all season, the transition defense just has to be on point. That's so important. It really doesn't matter who it is. Like, you don't have time to find your man and get matched up. And that's why I'm putting way less emphasis on the position battles in this game than I have in any of the others, because it's sometimes you're just not going to have the ability to match up the way you want to. Now, if you're scoring, if Arkansas is getting buckets and they're able to sprint back and set their defense, fine. But if you're missing shots and it's an open floor running game, you just got to find a body, man. And stop ball. That's one thing that Arkansas has been weird about this year. Way better in recent weeks, but I think about like the Tennessee game, the Auburn game, some of those games early in league play where we were like, good grief, man, stop the ball. What are y'all doing? Nate Oats, he loves to create mismatches with switches. So expect them to go out of their way to put Arkansas's bigs in ball screens. I would advise not switching with Pringle or Ewan as much as normal, but if you do, good luck. Those guards thrive in those situations. If you think you're defending far enough out, or you think you're closing out hard enough on those guards, think again. You're not. You're just not, man. They will make perfectly contested threes. They will throw up off-balance circus shots on the drive. It's very frustrating to defend. Arkansas just has to stick with the next play mentality and stay poised when that stuff happens. Truly. I think about some of the other things here. Honestly, going back to offense, ball security is such an important thing for Arkansas there. We mentioned Alabama just not being very disruptive. So on the flip side, Alabama, it's weird because they're 4th in turnover percentage in the SEC, and Arkansas has been pretty good about generating them. But we'll get into some player specific stuff in a minute here, and they can get into some trouble with turnovers. Now, their rates, like their turnover percentages and stuff, aren't going to look that high because they play so many possessions. So the number, like the volume of turnovers they have, is going to be higher because there's more opportunities with the ball in their hands. But as long as you're taking advantage of it in transition, then, that stuff still matters. Here's the other thing, though, for Arkansas on defense. They absolutely cannot, under any circumstance, allow Alabama to beat them up on the offensive glass. It cannot happen. They are 13th in the SEC in offensive rebound rate, so there's really no excuse. They're going to hoist upwards of 43 pointers in this game. That means a lot of long rebounds coming off the rim, so the bigs have to adjust accordingly, knowing that, and the guards have to be willing rebounders, just like Malik Thomas was in the last game. In the SEC games that Alabama's lost, they've gotten beat up on the boards. The only exception to that is Vanderbilt, who simply outscored them. How could Arkansas take that pathway? Sure. Because Alabama is vulnerable there. But, I say the other thing, Arkansas can't be so worried about Alabama's pace on offense to where they completely abandon going for their own offensive rebounds. It's nothing more frustrating than seeing a 3 go up and, nobody inside the arc trying to rebound it. Because Alabama is vulnerable there. That's part of the reason why they've had some struggles this year. They don't have much going on in the front court. So, yeah, I mean, you want to send Acuff and Leak back so you've got some bodies on the back end in case they board it and get it out, sure. But everybody else at the 3, 4, and 5, they need to stick their nose in there and go steal some possessions, man. I need Trevin flying to the glass. We need Pringle and Ewan doing their thing on the offensive boards. Billy flying in there. All that stuff is going to be really important in this basketball game. All the little things, all the little details, that stuff will it adds up, right? It adds up in games like this when you're trying to go steal one on the road. Might go steal some Blue Ember. I would advise you not do that. We want them to have business, not lose it, right? But check them out. 6 locations throughout the state of Arkansas. If you're into good barbecue, they've got you covered in Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, and Rogers. If you can't make it out there, they can come to you. They'll cater your events, weddings, parties, business meetings, whatever. Blue Ember is the place for you. So you can call their local location. You see the numbers on your screen. Contact them for individual pricing. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit their website, www.blueembersmokehouse.com. Good stuff over there. Okay, position battles. Let's it's going to be different, though. First of all, bad news once again for Arkansas. Gosh, man, it's just not a good time to be a team that's already short on depth, that's suddenly banged up every night. The injury luck was, Arkansas is way too fortunate. Carter Knox is out. His replacement, Isaiah Sealy, is out. So Arkansas dangerously thin on the wing and at the 4. Knox after slipping on that knee at Auburn, and it's more complicated than just that with him. Sealy, I have no idea what happened there. It's frustrating. Like, Arkansas isn't even practicing that hard at this point of the season. So, they're not doing a whole bunch of live stuff. It's really unfortunate they're getting a guy hurt every other day at practice at this stage. Man, you got to get healthy. This kind of been the theme of the season for Carter, hasn't it? It's like he had the turf toe that he missed the game early, maybe the opener, the hip pointer, the knee, comes back, re-injures the knee. It's just been one thing after another for him. I hate it. Arkansas needs him, man. And you guys can look at this, and I know a lot of people will, and be like, well, we were better without him or whatever. You need the depth. And they're going to have a little bit here. I mean, they have one backup guard with DJ back in the fold. They have one backup big with Ewan back in the fold. They have all their starters still. So, like, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't, guarantee that they're going to lose the game or something like that, but you'd have a better shot of winning it if you had your whole team. This isn't Mississippi State. This isn't LSU. Having to go to a place like Bama and play a team that plays this style shorthanded, that is a big, big ask. There's a major difference in playing that LSU team and having multiple guys play 40 minutes versus playing this Alabama team on the road and doing that. Doesn't mean they can't, but it's going to be a challenge. They're going to need some things to break their way. Can't have any foul trouble, right? Bama deeper than those other teams that Arkansas has faced, and they play that possession game. So will Arkansas be able to hold up for the entirety of 40 minutes in a pace like this? We hope so. Arkansas is going to have to go play the fastest tempo team in the country with 7 players. And having a grand total of one single wing available, that's Billy Richmond, means this is what sucks about it for me, is like a lot of the versatility and flexibility that Arkansas had with its lineups to match the things that Alabama is going to throw out there. That's now out the window. Out the window. Can't do it. As for the position battles, like I said, we got to attack this a little bit differently than normal because Alabama, they're perimeter oriented. They run so many different lineup combinations at you, which is why being at full strength or having more than one wing available would be ideal. They're going to play at least 10 guys based on availability, and it's looking like they're going to have all their key guys healthy naturally. They play super fast. Like I said, matchups are going to be all over the place. Everybody's going to guard everybody. It's not going to be like this half-court game where it's, I got my man, I'm guarding him every possession, and Arkansas switches and stuff too. So I did the graphic because it's what we do. I just feel like it plays better in every other game besides this one. So I also included how I would match up defensively because I think that's different than the position by position thing. And we'll talk about what to expect here. The only thing that Alabama can't and won't do is play big. They don't have that in the front court. One of the few things Arkansas would be able to do is play big, I guess. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, TB obviously just becomes ultra important now. And, I wonder if Cal mixes in any Malik Ewan and Pringle lineups, like playing them together at all. If we look up and Bama's playing Aiden Sherrill and, Taylor Bowen or something like that, maybe they would go to that some. I don't know. But understand that, Alabama, they might start a fairly traditional lineup. They kind of do. But they're going to spend over half the game playing 3 or 4 guard looks. Arkansas is going to see a lot of that. They'll play 4 guards and one of their jumbo wings at the 5 and go super small. They'll play 4 guards with their center. They'll play Philon and Holloway with 3 wings. Like they really do mix up the looks that they throw out there. Every single player who enters the game has a green light, will take and can make threes, all of them, including their center. So if I don't say it, assume they're a shooter. And they're positionless, truly. The way they can mix up looks is really hard for teams to match up with, and it wears on teams. Combine that with their style, and it's tough. At full strength, Arkansas could match any type of combination they put out there. Like going into this game, I love the idea of the 2 freshmen, Billy and Carter together, and Trevin. I feel like that's the lineup that beats Alabama. Well, that's a no-go now. So it gets a little bit more complicated. I would expect to see a lot of DJ Wagner in this game for Arkansas. Bama's going to go 3 guards a lot with Philon and Holloway, and then they'll throw Reitzel or Houston Millette in there. That'll be a good time to do it and give Billy a little bit of a break. You can also give TB a breather and use Billy as a 4-man, which he's going to kind of be guarding a hybrid 3-4 no matter what. So we'll talk about all that stuff here in a minute, but just understand their starting group is probably not even going to play that much together, right? So if I was matching up with who their starters are, and hell, I don't know for sure who they're going to start. This is just the group that they've gone with the last couple games. They've had a hard time staying healthy. But I would go A-Cuff on Aiden Holloway. I think that makes more sense. A-Cuff is Holloway's he's a little guy, smaller guy, 6 foot, 180, whatever. And it just feels to me like that would be a better matchup for Darius. And Philon is, he's 6'3", 6'4". So from a size standpoint, I like Malik Thomas there. I think Malik is a better defender. I've got the actual matchups there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I would go Billy Richmond on LeBaron Philon. Or excuse me, on Amari Allen. I don't know why I said Philon. And those two are like carbon copy types of players. Allen's a little bit bigger. He's more of a 3-4, where Billy's kind of a true wing that plays more guard, but they go about things the same way, man. They're junkyard dog types. So I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup between those two. I'd put Brazil on London Jemison, and he's going to have to guard Amari Allen at times. He might guard Sherrill at times. He's going to have to be pretty versatile in this game, but that's how I'd start. Then obviously Pringle on their big man, Aiden Sherrill. Let's see. Like I said, the most important thing, though, like Pringle needs to go find their big man, and then everybody else, for the most part, just has to find a body in transition and figure it out. But there is a difference in defensive matchups and position battles, right? Like as far as those are concerned, well, okay, who has the better point guard? Bama lets either their guys initiate and go, but everybody is dialed into the Darius A-Cuff versus LeBaron Philon matchup, right? The 2 best guards in the conference. Well, I'm going to go with A-Cuff for a number of reasons. One being that Nate Oats flat out said that Philon has not performed well in these big guard matchups all season and has struggled with turnovers and struggled with his defense. He said that today. So need I say more than the man's own coach? Philon is an incredible player. He's a bona fide pro, no doubt about it. averaging 21.3 points per game this season. He's a 40% shooter from three. He's damn near impossible to keep in front. He is the type of guard that gives Arkansas fits. Absolutely is. But he is a turnstile defensively, and Oats is absolutely right about his turnovers. In Alabama's losses this season, here are the turnover numbers for LeBaron Philon. 4 against Purdue, 6 against Gonzaga, 5 against Arizona, 4 against Vanderbilt, 5 against Texas, 3 against Tennessee, and 5 against Florida. That is a lot of turnovers. And he's had 8 in his last 3 games. They've been playing bad teams. So that is a number to absolutely keep an eye on in this game. Just like Oates said for Philon, I'll say it with Acuff. Darius Acuff doesn't have to outscore Philon for Arkansas to win this game. But if you think about these big-time matchups, guard matchups that Acuff has faced, more often than not, he's really coming out on top definitively. Michael Brown Jr., he was awesome. Kingston Flemings, both of them were awesome. Houston wound up winning that game. Remember the back and forth between him and Christian Anderson? It was just an electric matchup. But, I think it's fair to say that Acuff really rose to the occasion in that game. He outdueled Jacoby Gillespie, dominated Tyler Tanner. The list goes on and on. But Acuff he's consistent, man. He's consistently excellent, and he rises to the occasion. So I feel good about going with him here against the guy who is unbelievably talented, capable of a big game, playing at home, but he has had his share of struggles. Darius doesn't have to outscore Philon for Arkansas to win this game, but it sure would be helpful if he did, right? Like with Darius, though, especially on the road, it's about limiting turnovers, getting those assist numbers up, and getting teammates involved. Giving Arkansas some gravity from 3, he's going to need to hit a couple or a few, and just staying poised, under control, and in command on the road. This is a huge spot for Acuff, honestly. All the haters out there can be shut the hell up real quick. You're on the road against another draft pick. If he can have an efficient and productive game in this spot and lead Arkansas to a win, I just can't see a world where anyone could have a legitimate gripe with the man anymore. Plus, whoever wins this matchup, SEC Player of the Year frontrunner, right? Especially if one of them pops off, that very well may be the case. You can talk to me about Tommy Hawk all you want to, but these two dudes are elite. At the 2, Malik Thomas versus Aiden Holloway. Acuff and Philon are the superstars in this game, but Leak and Holloway might be the most entertaining to watch. Both of these guys have some real electricity with the way that they play. Have to give Holloway a slight edge here. Not by a lot, but I mean, more points per game, more made threes at a higher percentage, more assists. He's also has a very good turnover rate, just like Leak does. Leak is certainly a better defender. Arkansas's got to be really dialed in with Holloway. I mean, multiple guys who are guarding him. He has what I believe is the deepest range in the SEC. Like Holloway will pull up from legitimately 26, 28 feet with zero hesitation and bury it. So you have to extend your defense out on him, and that's what allows him to probe and get in the paint off the bounce, where I've never seen a 6-foot guard throw up more ridiculous, off balance, falling down, falling away, over the shoulder, eyes not even on the rim, behind my head nonsense and make it. It's truly insane. I feel like every big moment Alabama has had down the stretch of a game, Aiden Holloway makes just a ridiculous shot at the rim. Now, will that work if somebody can stay on his hip and then Trevin's hanging out under the rim? I guess we'll find out. But he's been a little bit up and down lately. He's had a couple 20-point games and then a couple, 12 or so point games here recently. If Arkansas can hold him down a little bit, that would be huge. But when he goes out there, and he's a guy who's capable of having an Acuff game, and hitting 6 or 7 threes. But if you hold him to, 2 of 6 or something out there, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape. As for Leak, Arkansas needs 20 out of Malik Thomas, period. Killer Leak, malicious intent Leak. When's the last time he took a heat check 3? The Vanderbilt game? Like I'm all for being more efficient and not being selfish and, playing your role, taking what the defense gives you and stuff, but Arkansas has to have some volume from three. It can't all be from Darius Acuff. I want to see Leak get a minimum of 8 attempts up. I know teams are closing hard. They're trying to run him off of the three-point line. That's fine. When that happens, floor it and get to the rim. But Leak's a smart player. He moves well without the ball. He knows how to run the baseline. He knows how to use screens. He knows how to read defenders. He knows how to get himself open, and all he needs is an inch of airspace with that quick release to let that thing fly. Arkansas needs it. They need volume from three from Malik Thomas. We talk about the importance of getting, some turnovers out of Alabama. That's that play here in Arkansas. I would say that Leak is their prime disruptor defensively in the backcourt. Billy's obviously a chaotic playmaker and everything like that, but Leak is really cerebral with it. He comes up with a lot of those steals that lead to good things in transition for Arkansas. They need a couple of those from him in this game. I don't, anything's possible. Kevin Garnett taught me that, but I don't know if I'm seeing a path to Arkansas winning this basketball game on the road without Malik Thomas playing really well. He's been good on the road. The one guy I thought played well at Auburn, he had 17 in that game, really struggled at Georgia, but he was solid at Oklahoma, at Mississippi State, at LSU, and this is a big spot for him. He seems to me like one of the guys, too, who kind of relishes in and it will be a pretty hostile environment, and knowing you're matched up with another star, and that's the type of game that it just feels like Malik Thomas will thrive in. Kick it up a notch, level up. At the 3, Billy Richmond versus London Jemison. Jemison's the one guy I'm not entirely sure if he will start or not. But he has the last 2 games. It was kind of out of necessity. They very well might start 3 guards. They could start Latrell Reitzel. They could start Houston Millette. They could start a bigger wing and like Taylor Bowen. If he's healthy and good to go, he's listed as questionable. They could start Jalil Bethia. They could go bigger and move Amari Allen up there. Like there's a million different things they could do. I'm just kind of sticking with what they have done the last couple games here. And either way, Jemison might start, but those other guys are going to play more minutes. All right, he's a true freshman. He can play the 3 or the 4. He's 6'8", 205, so about the same size as Billy. Billy's a little inch or two shorter. He's making about a 3 per game. He shoots at 35%, runs the floor hard. He's good in transition. But he's really just been a role guy. I mean, he's averaging 4.6 points per game in SEC play. But he's one of 3 long, rangy wings that we'll see Alabama rotate through. Billy Goat, downhill Bill, windmill Bill. In this game, he needs to be no breaks Bill. Okay. My man might have to play the full 40 in this game. He's the only wing available on the roster. Fine by me. The biggest thing for Billy then is going to be to keep himself out of foul trouble. Can't have it. You can, but it's not ideal. Having DJ back gives you some flexibility if Billy were to get into a little bit of foul trouble. Now, if Trevin were to get into foul trouble or something, then you either got to play really small or really big. But we'll worry about that if we get there. But, for Billy, this type of chaotic, hectic transition game, it's built in a lab for Billy Richmond to thrive in. I don't feel like he needs to go for 25 again, but coming into that game the other day, Billy had 3 straight where he was basically giving you 14 and 5, like clockwork. And if Arkansas goes down here on the road at Alabama and they get 14 and 5 and a little bit of havoc defensively from Billy, yeah, let's take that and call it a day. At the 4, Trevin Brazile versus Amari Allen. Tough matchup here for both players, I feel like. And this is a big reason why I wanted Carter in this game so bad. Amari Allen's good, man. He's super talented. A very surprising freshman who's emerged for them. Future draft pick. I think he's going to be a one and done. The flip side is Brazile is, you heard Oats say it, but I mean, he's playing like he was early in his career when everybody thought he was going to be a draft pick, and he started getting injured. TB's playing at an all SEC level right now. He looks like a second team all SEC forward to me. And I'm going to give the old head the advantage over the freshman here. But I do think this is a tough, fairly tough assignment for both guys if they're guarding each other defensively. I like Billy in this matchup more, honestly, defensively, but we're just doing the position thing here. Ken Pom categorizes Allen as the 4 the vast majority of the time, so he's not a power forward. He's a wing. And he's not posting up and stuff like that. He's a good defensive rebounder. He's not really big on the offensive glass, but he's got some size to him. I mean, he's 6'8", 205. They got a few guys that are listed there, but he's perimeter oriented. He's a straight line driver, good 3-point shooter for them. But he's got that junkyard dog mindset like Billy. Really gets after it, plays with a lot of toughness. He's kind of replaced Mo Diabate as that guy for them. But he's better player than, he's a more skilled player than Mo is. Not as strong, not as good of a rebounder and force in there in the paint, but he brings that type of attitude, that type of mentality. Nate Oats likes to do the hard hat thing after a game. He gives a hard hat to the hardest worker or whatever. And Amari Allen wins that like every game for them. So I will say I haven't been overly impressed with him defensively in any of the film that I've watched. He'll get a steal a game, it feels like, but he's high motor, high energy and everything like that, but he's very undisciplined and he fouls a ton. In fact, he's had a grand total of 1 game with fewer than 3 fouls in SEC play. But kind of a stat sheet stuffer. He's averaging 11.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. They like to let him do some point forward type stuff, which again is why I would prefer Billy here matchup wise. But TB he's gonna have no choice but to take this on quite a bit now. Both of these guys, when they're playing well, I think give their teams real identities. Can Trevin just keep up his run of solid play? In his last 4 games, Trevin's averaging 15 points, almost 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks per game. I think that would do in this one if he's able to do that. Need a couple 3 balls. I mean, it would be nice to get a TB explosion out there. I think we need a better effort on the offensive glass from Trevin. He's been awesome on the defensive glass. When you're averaging 9 rebounds a game almost over your last 4, I don't want to be a greedy man, but still, like, what's stopping him from getting 2 or 3 offensive boards? And I hope that's something he really emphasizes. At the 5, Nick Pringle versus Aiden Sherrill. It's just like master versus apprentice type stuff right here, isn't it? Pringle was Alabama's starting 5 on their Final Four run, and then Sherrill came. He played behind Big Cliff last year, but he came in right after. And he's in his sophomore season now, and he's taken over. He's a good player. Huge body, 6'11", nearly 260 pounds. He's one of 3 players in the SEC with more block shots than Trevin. He's not the fleetest of foot, not much of a rebounder for a guy that size, honestly, but a big physical body who can score around the rim, and it's improved to at least serviceable from 3. He'll step into a 3 and knock it down. The thing about him is, his value is unmeasured because when he's not on the floor, they have nothing by the way of post presence, nothing by way of rim protection. So I feel like Arkansas's got to be pretty aggressive on him. If you get him some foul trouble, that's where Alabama really starts to struggle. And then with Nick, the reunion angle. I mean, he left Bama on his own accord. There's no bad blood there or anything like that. I imagine Alabama fans might give him a relatively warm welcome. I need Nick to play against Bama like he did against South Carolina, though. How about this? We need Nick Pringle to play against Alabama like he did for Alabama, right? Now, he's played his old school. He played Bama last year when he was at South Carolina. He went for 13-6. That I would take that. But this will be his first trip back to Coleman. So that's cool. First time back in Tuscaloosa. And Nate Oats had some halfway nice things to say about him, said that he's a little bit better at all the stuff he was good at for Bama now. So, which is, I actually don't even know if that's true, but I understand what he's saying. But the formula stays the same for Pringle, right? I mean, it's defensive rebound, defensive rebound, defensive rebound. That's his priority. That's his job. That is all I care about in this one from Nick. Go get him, big fella, because Arkansas cannot afford to have Bama getting offensive rebounds and then kicking out for reload threes, because they do not miss those. Teams who get those offensive rebounds and reload threes don't miss them against Arkansas. Alabama don't miss them against anybody. As for the benches, listen, Arkansas has compromised significantly. It's a culmination of things. You know, like if it was just Carter who's missing a game here, then yeah, that would stink. But I would be like, all right, hey man, let's get Sealy in there. He looked pretty good. Him being out too is a kick in the balls. Having both of those guys down sucks. That's tough. That's almost worse than having him and DJ down. But it is what it is. So Arkansas's got one guard off the bench in DJ Wagner. He's going to play a lot. Need him to defend and get downhill. The three ball looked broke against Auburn. But he's shaking off some rust. I thought he looked pretty solid driving to the basket, put some rim pressure on those dudes. But Arkansas needs him to take care of the basketball and be good on defense. You got one big in Malik Ewan. He needs to be good. I feel like his arrow was really pointing up, and then he's kind of just been coasting along since he cost Arkansas the game against Kentucky with that technical foul. Malik Ewan has 16 points and 9 rebounds combined in the last 3 games. He should do that in this game alone at Alabama. He won't, but he should. It's time to start handing out buckets again, though. He could take advantage of this team in the paint if he wants to, if he's locked in. And he should be a guy who hurts them on the offensive glass also. But he's going to need a lot of touches around the basket against this team. Arkansas is going to be able to throw him some lobs up there. Honestly, this is a really good matchup for him. This would be a nice game for Mr. Ewan to remind us all what he's capable of. But Alabama has a deeper and more talented bench than Arkansas right now. Maybe in general, but they certainly do right now. Latrell Reitzel, I know that's a very familiar name. He's a good player. I think he tore his Achilles or something last year, so he missed a bunch of time, but he's back, slowly starting to round himself into form. Another guy with deep range. He had not been shooting it well, but he's been shooting it better lately. He's made 48 threes. That's third on the team, making him at a 36% clip. He's a good player. He's a winner. Houston Millett, a little bit of a bigger body. I mean, he's 6'5", 202. Millett is, and so they'll play when they go 4 guards. They'll kind of play him at the 4 a little bit. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Another guy who chucks a bunch of threes up there. He's shooting at 34%. Jaleel Bethea is a guy who they've been playing more as of late. The Miami transfer, former 5-star, former McDonald's All-American. Very talented, quick first step, 6'5" guard. I was kind of hoping Arkansas would go after him in the portal. So they got guards for days, especially now that they're healthy. Taylor Bowen will be one to keep an eye on with his health, but he gives him some length. He's 6'10", 200 pounds, so he's tall and skinny, but very athletic, can stretch the floor a little bit, can block shots. Not overly physical, but he gives them a little bit of something, at least behind Aiden Sherrill if he's available. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then if not, like Noah Williamson, who they went and spent a lot of money on out of, I think Bucknell is where he transferred from. It's been a struggle for him. He hasn't panned out the way that they thought he would. 7 foot, 255 pounds. He's a big fella. He was really good. I remember against Kentucky out of nowhere when they were dealing with some injuries and stuff. But outside of that, regardless, there's a pretty significant drop off when they have to go to him in there. And which, if you think about it, there's a reason why they went and got Charles Bediako for 2 weeks. They wouldn't have done that if they were confident in their situation in the front court, right? They weren't, and they're not, and that's an area that Arkansas could take advantage of them with guys like Trevin and Malik Ewan, and then Pringle, who he offensive rebounds at a high rate, so I hope that he's getting after it on the glass too. But then teams just foul him. He's got to go up there and make his free throws, right? Okay. We've gone for an hour. I actually want to wrap it up here. I know there's some stuff that we normally get to that we haven't, but remember the Pod at the Palace pregame show at Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville at 5 p.m. So come out there and see us, take advantage of the Progressive Wings deal out there, or just tap into the stream. Get your questions in. It's a good time, and we'll do our bold predictions and our best bets from Saracen, our picks to quick, final score, all that stuff. We'll have a little bit of fun with it, and we'll carry you right up until tip-off. So make sure that you tune in for that. Going to get out of here for now. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. As always, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace. We will see you guys at 5 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your day.